one of the funny things about politics is it makes for strange bedfellows. And this particular article from Crikey newspaper is brilliant. It says the government is trying to launder the radicalism of this legislation through the complexities of delegation and regulatory outsourcing. Chris Berg, who wrote this brilliantly rare piece in Crikey, is one of the most articulate rebuttals to the bill from the left or the right. They're very left-wing, by the way. Crikey hate our guts. They have written at least 5 hit pieces on me in a negative light. The idea that even they're saying it's a problem tells you everything you need to know about this particular bill. What radicalism are they alluding to? If you look at the definition of harm under 14F, it makes the point that harm is defined as including harm to public confidence in the banking system or financial markets. Now, obviously, this is a problem, and Senator Matt Canavan puts his finger on it when he says Australia's proposed misinformation laws protect the banks over the rights of Australians to speak freely. If these laws pass, you won't be able to say anything that causes harm to public confidence in the banking system. So under these laws, those who call out the recklessness of mortgage-backed securities before the global financial crisis, GFC, would have been censored. Why does the Labor Party think that our banks have earned the right to be immune from criticism? The misinformation laws are there to protect them, not you. And Senator Gerard Rennick makes the interesting point. What's so concerning is how on earth did that clause even get in the bill? And, I mean, Senator Rennick, you're a smart man. I know you know this because we're good friends. The idea is that these banks are donating to these political parties. They want to have that legal protection, that legislative protection from a radical bill like this. The bill is trying to take a scalpel to the freedom movement. They are trying to take a scalpel to the anti-establishment left-wingers as well, that don't have the protection of, you know, the sandstone institutions. That is clearly what's going on here. And so when I look at what's going on, when I look at what the government is trying to ram through the Senate, ram through the lower house, it's disgusting, and it's a blatant power grab. This is just one segment out of maybe 4 or 5 different topics that the government is really attacking, and it's nuts. If you want to oppose this bill, you've got to make a submission. You have to make a submission. Submissions close. They've only given it a week, strategically, by the way. On Monday, the 30th of September, so this coming Monday, it will cut off. It's done. That's the last day you can make submissions. So I strongly encourage you, go make a submission. If you're not sure how to do that, if you'd rather just, add your support to what we're doing, I did set up at tpaust.com.au my own petition where I'm articulating on behalf of the Yark podcast, on behalf of Turning Point Australia as an election campaigner, a third-party campaigner, but also on behalf of the Light Australia newspaper, which I personally believe, this is clearly targeting because it's not an establishment newspaper. That receives 200,000 prints every 2 months. We are opposing this. We are putting a submission in. If you want to make your voice heard, you can head to tpaust.com.au. You can add your name to the petition. And again, this isn't about email harvesting. You'll notice that our default setting is on no to subscribing to our mail list. If you want to stay in tune, you can change that. But this is about beating the bill. We have to beat this bill. And the way we beat it last time was we sent so many tens of thousands of submissions in. So there's real power in this for you guys. So if you've already signed my petition, which I know thousands of you already have, God bless you, but get another 3 people to sign it today. Talk to your wife about it. Talk to your husband about it. Talk to your kids if they're above 18, if they're voters, about it. And if they're happy to add their name to the petition, that's great. But even better, if you can, if you have the time, head to the Electoral Commission, head to the government site on the misinformation bill and the legislation and make an actual submission there by Monday. But don't put it off, do it today. But if you're not sure where to find that, please click the petition at tpaust.com.au. You can make your voice heard there. I will be presenting that as a part of my submission. This must be stopped. This must be stopped. And I had a few people ask me, when could this actually be passed? It could be passed, anytime after November 25th, but I am really worried about what happened with the digital ID legislation, where it barely even went to a vote with a proper debate. And my worry is they might try to do the similar thing with this. So we've got to do everything we can to stop this from passing. One of the challenges I'm really worried about is if it does pass after November 25th, we could see a situation where a lot of the misinformation in the Australian election, because our federal election's coming up very, very soon, could pass. And it could be censored. A lot of the misinformation that comes up in an election, it could be censored by a government institution, just as the Crikey article alludes. But also, after November 25th, you might remember 4 years ago, that was when a lot of these counts and a lot of the misinformation and a lot of the censorship happened from Google and Meta and Twitter when it was bad, happened, and people couldn't get the word out about these lawsuits Trump was doing at the time and challenging the states. Remember, this isn't just about Australia. They want to censor the internet, just like what they wanted to do with the Bishop Murray stabbing incident. These people are radical. They come in under the guise of trying to protect kids from online porn and, trying to protect, harm from doxing and giving people's address and private details out. But this is more radical than that, because it gets in under that, and then it protects the banks, as I've mentioned, and other institutions, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow. This is nuts. This is nuts. And how on earth did that make the bill? How did that get into the legislation? And it's clearly because, government's trying to curry favour with the big banks. I mean, what happened to Labor being, for the little guy, for the blue-collar workers, for the people that want to criticize the banking institution and maybe the way that we do financial markets and maybe, the Bank of International Settlements and the whole financial, system with the way we basically just print money and it's worth nothing. It's not backed by anything, except the American, war machine. This has to be opposed. This is disgusting. And this is Australia's fight for the world. It's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum we can do. We can beat this. I heard some encouraging news about the Greens and the crossbench potentially opposing this in the Senate. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I am hearing rumblings about an election coming up. Someone was even making the point that, it could be early next year or they might run down the clock to May next year. But we'll see. We've got to be prepared for anything. But right now, we've got to oppose this bill. Before we can change the makeup of the Senate, if we can stop this bill, it'll actually help us even more when the election comes around. See you guys later. God bless you. And again, politics makes for very strange bedfellows.